I'm frequently asked to go over the changes that the Jaraci patch makes. In this video, we'll go over the most important ones that you're all ready for Jaraci Cup 5. The first one you might notice is that salvagers now cost 150 CUs, and det packs cost 100. This makes it a little bit more expensive to expand. It also means that losing salvagers is a much bigger deal. Salvagers also no longer have any armor, which makes it a lot easier for sand skimmers and LAVs to kill them before getting damage upgrades. They also only carry 20 RUs instead of 40, which makes long distance mining RUs a little bit less effective. Don't worry though, carriers also got their level 0 point defense upgraded, which makes it a lot easier for them to deal with sand skimmers. Unless you're Soban! Another important issue in the patch was balancing the two factions' strikecraft. LAVs have longer range, so if sand skimmers are able to start the fight on top of the LAVs, they will win, but if LAVs are able to shoot before the sand skimmers get to them, then they will win. This is a huge change from vanilla. LAV used to be able to always win even with poor positioning, but now in order to win with LAVs, it's required to kite well. In vanilla, LAVs also built faster than sand skimmers, but in patch, LAVs build slower. However, Coalition players can now get the production upgrade tech without teching AAVs or railguns, which opens up a lot of interesting sort of LAV spam styles. You may also notice that the armor upgrades for sand skimmers and LAVs now give them plus 30 HP. One really important change in the Jaraci patch is that carriers have way less health now. This is to stop really abusive strategies like Coalition sledgehammers and Galzian base burner heal spam and stuff like that. The power reserve upgrades also cost more money now. However, they also grant an additional 200 HP for every power reserve that you unlock. Somewhat less applicable to 1v1s, but still important, the cruise missiles all have a limited range now too, so if you're playing in a 3v3 you can't just throw microwave emitters across the entire map on your opponent's eco. Stupid Soban. The next important change is to AAVs. They used to do almost no damage to armored units in vanilla because they had a high fire rate but a super low damage. Their DPS is pretty much unchanged, but their damage against armored units is a lot higher now, which allows them to compete with assault ships. Assault ships, meanwhile, were kind of weird units in vanilla. Based on the map, they were either really good or really bad. That was kind of a weird place for them to be. The fix for this was to increase their range, but to decrease their survivability. So you'll find them a lot easier to kill now, but they do a lot more damage because it's a lot easier for them to get into range of their enemies. Overall, the mid-tier units, including AAVs, assault ships, assault railguns, heavy railguns, and coalition railguns, have all seen their costs increased. And while they still counter the units that they're designed to counter, it's no longer a no-brainer. You can't have assault railguns just run right in front of AAVs and take 0 damage from them anymore. If you're coming from vanilla, you'll find that all of the mid-tier units pretty much function the way that you expect them to, but you need to be careful with them. It feels very punishing now to lose them carelessly. However, they all perform better at their intended roles than they used to. Also of note is that because carriers had their HP reduced, railguns have their damage reduced by quite a lot as well. Air units have received a lot of interesting changes in the patch as well. Gunships in particular used to be just the most absolutely awful units in the game, but now they actually fulfill their intended role, which is a lot of fun to see. For those lacking context, rails with upgrades actually wouldn't die to gunships in vanilla, so I mean, I think that's just stupid. Look at this. I think we can all agree. This is a lot more fun. Bombers for both factions also used to have a very prohibitive cost, but they're much easier to get to now. In fact, this applies to all of the tier 3 units. Cruisers, heavy air, stuff like that, it's much easier to get to now because the tech costs for it are no longer, insane. In patch, you should expect to see more assault cruisers, more siege, things like that, although it's important to note that the barrage cooldown for siege has been increased significantly as well. In vanilla, interceptors just massacre strike fighters, like it's not even funny. In patch, the interceptors still have the advantage, but it's a lot less drastic, and if coalition players use ground-based anti-air wisely, they can still win that fight. This gives the anti-air turret, missile batteries, missile ships, and things like that more value. Additionally, base runners had their anti-air quite a lot buffed, so they're able to contribute to these sort of air fights. Support cruiser anti-air has also had a lot less emphasis placed on it. It used to be, insanely good, and now it's just, quite good. Additionally, production cruiser and base runner anti-air was made a lot less random, which means that it's a lot more predictable when a probe will be killed and when it won't in the early game. There are also some interesting techs that are pretty much never teched to in vanilla, like, say, missile ship, radar-guided missiles, railgun EMP, assault cruiser anti-air, and we've done a lot of things to make these techs a lot more desirable. They cost less, they take less time to tech, and they're generally more impactful in the field. And that's pretty much all you need to know about the Jaraci patch. Obviously there's more things that are different in it, but I think these are the most important changes that you need to be aware of. Overall, I think that the balance is a lot better, and you can't throw away units anymore. It really feels like, you can't just let these things die, they're important to you. I like my railguns. Anyway, if you have any questions about the patch, I'm going to be running a pretty long stream on Friday where I just go over the changes and accept questions from viewers and show people how things work. So if you have any questions, tune in and hopefully I'll be able to answer them. Otherwise, I'll see you in Jaraci Cup 5. You better sign up, or you know what's going to happen, right?